everybody would kindly take their seats, we'll get started in a moment.
Representative 87, David.
Thank you. If you all will please silence your cell phones, and we're getting started with the lovely music. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Friends and family of Joanne Golden. My name is Julie Parham. I'm the current Assistant Director of the City of Lake Worth Beach Water Utilities. Thank you, and it's an honor to be here today, showing off our reverse osmosis plant and the legacy that Joanne worked so hard to help us build. I'd like to take a moment to recognize the elected officials and dignitaries present today. We have House Representative David Silvers, and we have all of the current City Commission. Mayor Betty Resch, Vice Mayor Christopher McVoy, Commissioner Kimberly Stokes, Commissioner Sarah Maliga, and Commissioner Ronaldo Diaz. We take great pride, and if I missed anyone, please stand and state your name. Thank you all for being here, though. We take great pride in our water here in Lake Worth Beach that is blended with lime softened and reverse osmosis treated water. And it's thanks to so many people for the collaborative effort that got us where we are today. Our RO plant recently won the Outstanding Membrane Plant of the Year award at the Southeast Desalting Association Conference, and an honorable mention at the AWWA taste test recently. I'd now like to introduce Madam Mayor Betty Resch from the City of Lake Worth Beach.
I'll be brief. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for coming. Life is an interesting journey. Joanne and I were friends and neighbors in Westminster West and Putney, Vermont in 1974 and 1975. Yeah. We were members of the Brattleboro Women's Community Center, and people started coming in, ladies started coming in with broken black eyes and broken arms, and the whole thing about domestic violence became very real to us. And at that point, this was 1975, there was nothing really going on. So we established a women's, like a volunteer sort of underground shelter thing. And when the need became so great, Joanne and I worked on getting an LEAA grant to open up the first women's domestic violence shelter in New England outside of Boston in 1976-77. And it was so good that the city took it over, and it still goes today. So Joanne has many legacies, and and then Joanne found Lake Worth because I moved here, and she started visiting and grew to love it. So you're very welcome. But I want to thank everybody here. It's really, to have that long history with her and to see the struggles that she went through and the lives that she touched. It's great to see everybody. Welcome to Lake Worth Beach.
Thank you all for coming out today and for honoring Joanne, and thank you, Madam Mayor, for reminding us of how Joanne came to Lake Worth, and also that Joanne had a very lifelong history of taking care of people in a lot of different ways. Before I go too much further, are there any former city commissioners here that might have served with Joanne? Aha, we have one. All right. I'm going to cede in a minute a bit of my time so that she can tell us firsthand, because she was on this is Kara Jennings, Commissioner Kara Jennings was on while Joanne was working on it. But before we go to that, come up anyhow. Before we go to that, I'd just like to say a little bit about, at this point, nobody questions that we have a mixed source of water for Lake Worth. Nobody says, oh, that was a really dumb idea that we built a water treatment plant. Instead, what people are saying is pretty cool that when they built it, they designed it with enough extra bays that if we ever wanted to expand and sell water to, say, Palm Beach, we could. It was designed with that possibility in mind from the get-go. And I also want to say that it was not easy sailing. The idea apparently was first proposed by Rodney Romano, mayor at that time, and it took about 3 more mayors, but really Joanne's pushing, along with the help of 2 other female commissioners, go female commissioners, I don't fall under that, that got it through. And I remember, I overlap with Joanne some on the commission, but also in life. My wife will tell you that when she said, I don't know about books in the living room, I said, you know who made those bookcases? They're not moving anywhere. They're going right there. Joanne did many things. She had a wood shop for a while, and it was focused on bringing women in to learn woodworking. And of course, you can imagine it was forest certified, healthy forest wood that she used and all that sort of thing. But I think what I'd like to say is, not only is it a matter of tenacity, but also this was somebody, I don't know that she had any particular technical specialty in water, but she looked ahead and she saw what I heard, as a water specialist guy, I was hearing it from water management district and water suppliers up and down the coast, that sooner or later almost everybody's going to wind up on reverse osmosis in South Florida. Well, Jupiter and Lake Worth were the head of that pack. They were on way earlier than anybody else. And to have commissioners who have insight, foresight, decades out, and are doing things that at the time were not at all popular, that took a lot of pushing. You have technical staff telling you, oh, no, that's not such a good idea. You really should go with the county water. You should do this, you should do that. She hung in there and helped make it happen. And with that, I'd like Commissioner Kara Jennings to supplement.
Thank you. I got the honor to serve with Joanne during some of her time on the City Commission, and I think in the spirit of Joanne, we should give a round of applause for the workers who run the RO plant, because she would certainly want them to get the credit. And I see Phil Donovan is here, and he was really instrumental in making this all happen as well. So thank you, Phil. To me, to honor Joanne in this way is really special. I'll try not to cry, but towards the very last few months of Joanne's life, when I was one of the few people that got to really hang out with her and visit with her, and she would ask me, like, what do you think is what's next, not spiritually, but like what in a movement, like what happens next politically in this country. And at that time, Black Lives Matter protests were just going across the country like wildfire as people stood up to police terror. And she was donating money. She was very ill at that point, and she was still so engaged and concerned and compassionate towards the movements that impact people in the world. And that was her whole life, I know so little about her. Her family could share so much more, but the little I know about Joanne is just astounding. She went to Central America and took great risks to go and support people there. And she was a fine carpenter. Instead of making money, making gorgeous furniture for wealthy people, she got the patent on a desk to help disabled people, and ran women's work efforts to bring women into the building trades, and then was part of the Lake Worth CDC and helped people gain autonomy in their housing. And her whole life to me was about people having agency and autonomy and being able to stand up for what's right. And so to me, commemorating her name on this water plant, it really represents that. She felt very strongly that the city should maintain its autonomy to keep the water plant under our control. And she persevered in her fight for that, but not just for water, but for so many issues. So I really appreciate the mayor and the commission making this happen, because Joanne is somebody who certainly deserves to be honored in this way. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those remarks. And now I'll introduce Mr. Tom Biggs. He's with Macrus and Associates, and he was a design engineer and spent a lot of time with Joanne along the way for the RO plant.
Hi, I'm Tom Biggs. It was my privilege to work with Joanne for many years as we were doing this. It was our privilege to work for the city in being the design engineer for this facility. I was asked to give a little bit of history on how this all evolved. In around 2000, 2001, the city was growing quite a bit. There was 500 new customers, not people, customers in that year, and water use was going up, and it was a drought year. And the easternmost monitoring wells out at the east end of Fifth Avenue south, we're starting to trend up in salt content. So South Florida Water Management District was concerned, and the city's noticing it, but South Florida started to threaten to restrict Worth at the time, City of Lake Worth's ability to take water out of the superficial aquifer, which is where your water supply came from. So they started asking. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. So in 2001, started looking for alternative water supplies and looking for other opportunities. And the Floridan Aquifer was a primary opportunity because at the time you could get, it was thought to be drought proof. So we started looking at the Floridan Aquifer. We looked at other alternatives. The city got put on water restrictions. If you remember, in 2005, you were down to 1 day a week irrigation. You had the worst water restrictions in Palm Beach County. So, so we started looking at alternative water use grants, and South Florida Water Management District was giving grants for alternative water use projects, but they would only give out $500,000 at a time. So we started breaking up the project into little pieces, right? And we started with the wells. So in 2004, the city sold a revenue bond, which included the funding to build the RO plant. We started design in 2005, got design and permitting completed. This building is the maximum building we could fit on this site, and it was because of this concrete here and fire requirements and stuff. So we decided with staff that let's build the maximum building we can build for Lake Worth's future, and that was part of what you were talking about. So we equipped it to 4.5 million gallons a day to blend with the superficial aquifer water, which makes a beautiful water, the blended product. This plant's expandable to over 9 MGD as it is, and you could, there's ways to make it bigger than that, but it's easily expandable to 9. And this was the maximum dimension. So the original design, the building was originally, or the plant was originally bid in 2007, and the commission was having, reservations about proceeding with the project, and it kind of delayed authorizing the award. So for several months, for half a year, they delayed authorizing the award. And began negotiating with Palm Beach County to buy water from Palm Beach County. That negotiation took a while, and it came out with a draft agreement that the city was on the verge of executing. But Joanne was never, she was never in favor of that. So she didn't, and she was always pressing, let's build the RO plant. So in 2009, the American Resource Recovery Act was passed. We submitted a grant application. The city got $2.55 million to build the RO plant. Grant. And the state revolving fund loan people offered the city $6.5 million in low interest loan to build the plant. South Florida Water Management District had already contributed $1.5 million to the system. So in 2009, we put the plant back out to bid. Different contractor was a low bidder. It was awarded. And the construction, the plant itself is about $18 million. If you include the Floridan wells that went with it, was about $21 million. And that's essentially it. The project was completed on schedule, on budget, slightly under budget. There was no positive change order. There was a couple credits that the city took at the end of the job, and it was started up in July of 2011. And I'll let operators talk about it from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. And now I'll call on Gary Baker, who's our current water plant manager, who was around at the time the RO plant was built, and we'll talk a little about that.
Thank you, Julie. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming out for this dedication ceremony. My name is Gary Baker. I'm the current water plant manager. I've worked for the city for 21 years, a little over 21 years now. This plant is staffed 24/7. We have dedicated operators. We have 9 operators, 3 mechanics, an electrician, and 2 lab personnel. The city broke ground October 21st, 2009. There's a plaque on the back table with Joanne's picture on it, breaking ground with the other people. It was a huge undertaking because at that time, 3 fluorine wells, an injection well, a monitoring well, and the entire RO plant had to be constructed.
You might tell people how deep a Floridian well is compared to a surface well for those who don't dig wells.
Our superficial wells are roughly 150 to 200 feet deep. Our fluorine wells are 1,500 feet deep, give or take. It's within that range. The injection well is like 3,000 feet deep, 3,300 to be exact. So, and that's all of our reject water that goes into the ground because we're not allowed to put it in the ocean. But I got to see where I was. That's a good question. No, that was a good question. But, of course, the plant was built for future expansion, which is great. The future build out can be, I believe it was 10.1 million gallons a day is what we can put out. Oh, sorry about that. I'll do it this way. The RO plant officially went online 2 years later, July 26, 2011. And it's been a vital asset for the city of Lake Worth Beach. The RO supply is drought resistant because it's a different aquifer than the 1954 lime softening plant it draws from. And the city is provided with diversified drinking water supply that is crucial for both drought response and to mitigate the saltwater intrusion into the superficial aquifer that serves as the lime softening plant. As the operational challenges that were faced initially was how to balance the water chemistry with the lime softening plant between the lime softening plant and the RO plant. At that time, it was difficult because we were still buying water from Palm Beach County Water Utility. So at times we'd have to shut the RO plant off and lower the lime plant flow. But it made it difficult with the blending until we were out of the contract with Palm Beach County. We've made several improvements to the RO plant, like putting in an acid dilution system so that full strength sulfuric acid isn't running throughout the plant. It's only in one particular room and it's diluted to the injection point. As of today, we're still running on the same membranes that were installed in the plant. And we're continuously adjusting the plant to run more efficient. As Julie stated, and which we're very proud of, this year we received the best operated membrane plant for a large facility from the Southeast Desalting Plant. And that's all according to my guys. I have the best staff. Thank you for coming out for this dedication ceremony, and thank you to Joanne for her support and leadership, and have a great day.
Thank you, Gary. And now I'd like to welcome Dr. Thomas Golden to come speak and give some remarks on Joanne.
Actually, before my dad speaks, his son is going to speak.
Sure, his son. Here we go.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming out. My name is Jean-Marc Golden. I'm Joanne's nephew. I'm currently actually living in her house here in Lake Worth. So I've been here since she passed away. Actually, it was October 28th, 2019, so just 3 years ago. So I'm going to give you just a little background on Joanne so that this water plant isn't out of character for where her head and her heart were at. Joanne's commitment to the planet began simply enough as a volunteer firefighter in Putney, Vermont. And then as Mayor Resch mentioned, in the early 1970s, she was a founding member of the Women's Crisis Center in Brattleboro, and helped to build institutions in southern Vermont community in many ways. Once in Burlington, she worked hard to promote greater understanding of the U.S. role in Central America, and was the coordinator of the Burlington, Vermont, Puerto Cabeza, Nicaragua Sister City program. She traveled down to Nicaragua quite a bit, and she actually produced a number of documentaries on the war crimes that were going on down there. She moved to Florida in 1989, and she opened up a fine furniture business called Whatever. If you've ever had a chance to see any of her furniture, there's some at her house here in Lake Worth. It's truly beautiful, Biedermeier style furniture, not a nail or a screw in any of it. After that work with her woodworking project, she shared her skills and devotion to economic opportunities as the program coordinator at Jeff Industries, a job skill program for individuals with mental illnesses. After Jeff Industries, she launched Project Women Can and trained local unemployed women in basic carpentry skills, plumbing skills, electrical skills, so they can go out and earn a living. And she also got, I believe, federal grants for that. She was a project manager for the Lake Worth Community Development Corporation, and she oversaw the design and building of new affordable homes for first-time home buyers. Joanne was an active board member and president of the Palm Beach chapter of the National Association of Women in Construction. She was also secretary of the American Civil Liberties Union of West Palm Beach, and the secretary and treasurer for the Sam and Doug Golden Foundation for the Arts. Joanne had 2 terms as city commissioner from 2007 to 2011, and it turns out I was living down here at that time and was very much involved in her campaigns. I was making all the door hangers and door signs and law signs and all those pieces of collateral that make you go crazy. She was involved during her terms, obviously. In addition to this water plant, she was involved in ending beach dredging and supporting renewable energy programs. She was also heavily involved in restoring and building more parks around the city. And I just want to mention one thing. I think it was Kara that mentioned when she was thanking the staff here. One thing I know about Joanne, and it became really obvious once I lived down here, and I have a tendency, like my father, to talk a lot, and anytime I'd see somebody from the electrical utilities or the sanitation department or the postman or the police officer, if they looked the right age, I'd ask them, "Oh, you happen to know Joanne Golden?" And without an exception, "Oh, Joanne Golden, you're a nephew. I love Joanne Golden. She was great." And even for those that she sometimes had conflict with, once there was a little commotion going on across the street from me, and there was a Palm Beach sheriff patrol car there, and I know she wasn't in favor of doing the transfer from the local police to Palm Beach sheriff, but it looked like an older officer, so I went up to him and said, "Oh, you happen to know Joanne Golden?" He goes, "Joanne Golden? I loved her. I hardly ever agreed with her, but I loved her. She was great." And same thing as, again, when I mention anybody that works for the city, that's the nuts and bolts of what makes the community go. The warmth that all those individuals have has been great. And I just wanted to give a quick thank to Lauren Bennett for putting all this together. And some other people that I know that during when Joanne was commissioner, and that really helped push through this RO plant, Samuel Moranis, William Ferguson, Phil Donovan, Kara Jennings, and Susan Mulvihill. We're all, key in helping Joanne get this. These are all team efforts. It's not one person. It's a real group effort. And again, to the mayor, Betty Resch, Ronaldo, and the commissioners, Ronaldo Diaz, Christopher Lavoie, Sarah Magala, and Kim Stokes. Thank you very much for this honor. It's fantastic. Thank you.
Jean-Marc may talk a lot, but not nearly as much as I do. I'm Joanne's eldest brother. That she was my sister, that had to do to the activities of my parents, Sam and Adele Golden. As my friend, Joanne and I did that by ourselves. This is truly, I can't tell you, such a joyous event. This following is a poem by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Clearly, Mr. Emerson didn't know Joanne. But the poem is clearly dedicated to Joanne. To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know even one life has breathed easier because you've lived. This is to have succeeded. My sister Joanne succeeded on all counts. For the past 51 years, I've been a clinical psychologist, and after literally thousands of hours of seeing people, I've come to know two kinds of persons. I don't know the categories, but these are unique for me. There are persons who can be characterized as I and me persons, and others who can be characterized as you and them. Joanne was the epitome of the you and them person, a constant focus on the other. My family wants to thank the mayor, commissioner, and their staff, clearly their staff, the departments of sanitation, police, fire, and every single worker for the friendship they shared with my sister Joanne. I want to thank you very much.
We're going to do a countdown now to unveil the name of the new water plant. So please, if you'd like to get up where you can see it, you're welcome to. 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you all so much for coming, and if you'd like, we can do a walkthrough of the plant so you can see the inside, just through the doors here.
Yeah, but we're really very tight. Oh yeah, my youngest brother, Mark, he's the president of Golden Artist Company, Royal Renown Company. And another brother, Stephen, he died a few years ago. So there's three brothers and Joanne. And now, John Mark and Sonia.